Hi, welcome back to Freedom from Anxiety. And so glad to be back with you for session 13 and hopefully back in session 12. It was helpful for you to have the conversations of where you've made some progress, where you've made some change, and also where you still need to work on based on other people's views and things they see in you. So we're going to jump right into the skill for this week, and it's just music. And, music definitely has some therapeutic powers to it. And so we'll go right into the video and then we'll chat about it real quick right after. So see you in a minute.
Hello again, Mike here. Hopefully you've been inspired and with the courage to change lesson that we talked about and seeing that life on this side of recovery is so much better than being bogged down and held down. So just like last week's skill on yawning was super simple, so is this one. It's just music. And the benefits of music are huge. I'm sure you have some favorite songs. Hopefully they're positive in nature and kind of uplifting, and not the down and dreary that pull you down. So get some upbeat stuff that's going to inspire you, stuff that's going to make you happy and bring about positive emotion. And just spend some time this week, whether it be in the car on the way to work, listen to a CD, or just before bedtime when you first wake up, and just play some positive, encouraging music. And the benefits are so high now that that there's music therapists out there that's all they do is therapy with the use of music because of the benefits that we know it has. And for a lot of people, this is a great one to kind of keep their emotions under control and just help you in this journey to recovery. So give it a shot and look forward to hearing all about it.
So hopefully you'll get some benefit from music. Again, it has a huge therapeutic effect. So when I was a lead therapist in a self-harm and suicide unit for teenagers, I had to run 12 groups a week, different therapeutic groups. And the number one requested group was a music group, and they loved to have different songs played that meant something to them and share with the group like why it helps them. But I can tell you, like, over and over, these are people just riddled with anxiety and depression, and the music that they would choose and want to listen to just had such negative messages. And they didn't realize how much that was playing a part and how they felt, and the messages that they were sending to their brain on a constant basis. So please pick positive music, pick positive lyrics, upbeat stuff that's going to increase your energy and just make you more effective throughout the day, and just give you that positive outlook on life. Today we're going to talk about time management. So if you want to turn to page 44, there's a time management assessment. All you're going to do is put a check mark next to each line that's true for you. So if you want to pause the video and go ahead and complete that and then pick back up. Okay, so as you went through the time management assessment, I'm sure you have at least a couple check marks, but here's how this one scores out. So if you marked 0 to 5, that's a great job. That would be kind of the ideal range. Now, people with anxiety and depression tend to have this as a pretty big area of need. So most likely, most of you out there check more than that. So if you were 6 to 10, that would be kind of indicating that you needs improvement. So, most of our population, even if they don't deal with anxiety and depression, would probably check somewhere in the 6 to 10 range, which means they could do better, but it may not be as much of an issue for their anxiety. And if you checked 11 or more, this is definitely a session you want to pay attention to and learn some new skills and ways to hopefully help you and manage your time and just get you back on the right track, right? So we'll just jump right into the session. If you go back to page 42. And again, just like all the other assessments, the ones that you have X's on, if you ever want to go back, practice your better but believable thoughts. Those are good ones to go back to and start to investigate the evidence and look at, like, why am I feeling this way, thinking this way? What better but believable thought do I need to do? During your worry time, you can set that as an action step. What can I do to like move this area in the right direction? But number one, on page 42, people with anxiety and depression generally do not manage their time well. So the word manage there goes into blank. So energy is depleted by constant overreaction to things, making it harder to manage time. Nervousness and anxiety will cause exhaustion and fatigue. And it's common to plan out too much in one day. And in general, that'll cause just life dissatisfaction. So you really want to listen today and learn like ways to better manage your time and be able to help yourself and just make wise choices throughout the day, and just being effective with all the time that God's given you. So number two is we can't change time. I'm sure you heard the phrase, we all have the same 24 hours, which is true, but we can change our choices. So, forget about adding hours to your day. Forget about trying to cut time up and save it for some parts of the week that are busy and borrow from others. Like, it just doesn't happen. We all have those same 24 hours. But with our choices, things that we can do, we can listen to our body signals. So I know you can, I personally can get to the point where I'm so exhausted and like just not functioning at top peak level. And, in times where I just need to rest, times where I just need to play with my son, times I just need to go do a hobby that I enjoy and get refreshed, knowing that if I spend an hour doing that, I'm going to be more effective in the following 3 to 4 hours than if I would have spent all 5 like just dragging and not being able to function at top level. So knowing like when you're hitting those triggers and feeling those, that sometimes you feel like, well, I have to keep on this, I have to finish this project, I have to do these things. But knowing if you take that break and do something you enjoy, kind of get refreshed, you're probably going to get that project done even quicker in a shorter amount of time because you're going to be more effective. Again, learning we all share the 24 hours, so you're not unique and wanting more time in your day and to get things done, and learning to allow ourselves to manage our 24 hours and not others. So not allowing everybody else around you to dictate, we need you to do this, we need you to do that, and letting them walk all over you, and planning those 24 hours for you, where you take more of a proactive role in planning your day and doing the things that you really feel are important and the things that you need to get done. Okay, so what I want you to do next, first we'll look at number 3, and we're going to come back to number 3 a little bit towards the end, but I'll give you the word there. It's we need to live a purpose-driven life. So purpose-driven is missing from there. And, again, we're going to come back to exactly what that means. But right now, I want to get a picture of your life and your time management and what you're spending your time on. So what I want you to do, you can see where it says my current picture, and then it says rank 1 through 12. So in those squares, you're going to put the numbers 1 through 12. So what I want you to do is number 1 is going to be where most of your time is spent. So if you say, I spend almost all my time on my friendships. I'm always going out doing social things. When people ask me for a favor, I'm doing those. And most of my time, most of my days spent in friendships, you'll put a number 1 there. And then you'll find the second most common thing that you're doing with your time. And then your third, and down to number 12 is going to be the one thing. Now it's not like what you want to do. This is kind of like an accurate picture of your current life. All right, so if you need to pause the video, go ahead, pause the video, and just rank those 1 through 12. Okay, now the second part of this, you're going to go over to the right. It says my ideal picture. All right, so now you're ignoring the left side. You're ignoring like what you're actually doing. You're ignoring what your current picture is, and you're just saying, you know what, if I could just hit the reset button and everything was ideal, what would my time each day look like? Where would my number 1 be? Where would my number 2, all the way down to that number 12? So you're going to do the same thing. So if you say, the thing I want to do most is spend time with my spouse. So number 1 there, romance time with my spouse. That's huge for me. I know that's a missing piece, and I need that. Like, put your number 1 there. And number 12 is going to be like, yeah, this would be nice, but it's really not that important to me. So you're going to put a number 12 there. So again, you're ranking them just like the other side. If you need to hit the pause button, go for it. All right. Now that you've done that, again, you've gotten good with your worry jar, you've gotten good with your planning time and making proactive steps. I want you to look at these two sides, and I want you to notice things about them. And when you look at page 43, just skip that top part, but you can see where it says 3 clear things. All right, so I want you to look at your current picture. I want you to look at your ideal picture and just write down the top 3 things that stick out for you. All right, so again, maybe in your ideal picture, you put number 1, I want to spend more time with my spouse, going on dates, romance, that kind of stuff. But in my current picture, like that was number 9. All right, so you can see there's a disconnect between what you're actually doing with your time, and there's a disconnect with what you would like to do with your time. All right, so in that line on page 43, one of the clear things is like, I need to figure out a way to spend more time with my spouse. Now, again, this isn't like figuring out how to do that right now. It's just saying when I look at what I'm currently doing with my time and what I'd like to do with my time, this is it. So you're looking for numbers that are far apart, right? So it could be the opposite. So maybe you say like, the least important thing to me is material possessions. But my current picture, I ranked at number 2 because my house is a mess and I have to organize all this stuff, and all my time and energy is going on all these things and junk that I've accumulated over the years. And, you know, I really don't want to do that. So it could be like the opposite. You could be spending a lot of time on something that you actually don't even care about and don't like. So again, you're just putting 3 things, again, just using your expert techniques you've been using during your worry time and planning time, and just writing down 3 things that you see. All right, now based on that, actually we'll come back to that. Let's go up back to the purpose-driven life. So one of my favorite books, and one of the books that had the biggest impact on me, was Rick Warren. It's called The Purpose-Driven Life, and it's kind of like I think it's like a 1-month devotional where you read a couple pages a day, and it really just helps you find like what did God design you for, and what is your purpose here in life. And so I want you to, and this may be during your spiritual discipline time, you know, just asking God, you know, what is my purpose? What direction do you want me to go? And you know, one of the things that, you know, I remember, like, I've always looked up to Billy Graham, and he's kind of been like my spiritual hero. And I always thought, like, you know, I could never be like Billy Graham. And I remember, like, you know, when I went through anxiety and was a very quiet kid and not really that outspoken and more behind the scenes type person. And I felt like I remember in my church, I went through something called Evangelism Explosion, and it gave you all these great ways to talk about God, how to share the gospel. And, you know, one of my favorite classes I'd ever taken, I loved it. And then I remember at the end, the teacher said, okay, now you're all going to pair up with a partner and you're going to go door to door in the neighborhood and like tell people about Jesus. And I thought, like, you know, there's no way, like, my personality, like, I'm just not going to walk up to a stranger's door, ring the doorbell and start talking about Jesus. Like, not only Jesus, I'm not going to walk up to a stranger's door and talk about anything. So I went a lot of years thinking, you know, evangelism is just not for me. Like, I don't have the personality for it. And, you know, I'll do some other things. I can pray for people. You know, I can do some other things, but, you know, evangelism is kind of on the back burner. But one of the things that I discovered when God has kind of, you know, given me some more boldness and has allowed me to speak in front of groups of people and able to talk about these things that I wouldn't have been able to years ago, I always look at the people behind the scenes. And so if there's a church that would say, hey, Mike, can you come in and do a magic show, or just come in and talk to the people, whatever's on your heart, and, you know, share the gospel, tell them about Jesus. Like, one of my favorite times of the year, like I do a lot of shows, it's called Upward Sports. So it's a youth sports program. And I'll go into churches at the end of their sports program. They have something called a year-end celebration. And so they'll bring all the families, all the kids in, they'll give their awards and trophies, and then they'll have like an entertainer come present. And then that entertainer presenter will give the gospel message and tell people about Jesus and him dying on the cross and how he loves them. And once that relationship with him, and I've gotten very good at realizing, like, God's given me a platform and I can go on this stage and I can tell people about Jesus. But the people behind the scenes are just as important in that puzzle as I am. So I'll go to the secretary and I'll say, like, thank you so much for like advertising this event, for getting the people through the doors. I'll go to the ticket, people who took tickets as people came in. Like, thank you so much. Like, you played just as much of a part. I mean, I could have shown up here and there could have been nobody here. I could have been on stage talking to myself. But all these people, even though like God hasn't given you the personality, or God hasn't given you the calling to go on stage and do what I just did, because of you, like, people came, people heard. And so what I want to say to you is, don't give up on a lot of these things just because you feel like, I don't have the right personality, because you do have some sort of gift, and God's given you some sort of gift, some sort of talent. And so I want you to think about what is your purpose. And and it could be, maybe you're a trash collector and you got 3 people that you go along on your drive that, like, just life is not going well for them and they're going in like very bad directions, and you just need to like encourage them and help them. And so you don't have to have this big, like, I need to be the next Billy Graham, or I need to like go off to Africa to be a missionary. Not that God's not going to call some of you to do that, but it's just like where I'm at right now in my life, where are places that God could use me? And I want you to think about that. And again, it might be during your spiritual discipline time, and put that in there. And then the second question, what's preventing you from doing that? So is it fear? Has it been your anxiety? Did you use that excuse card that, like, I know God wants me to do this, but I'm too anxious and I'm not going to do it? And then number 3, how can you adjust? So you feel like, hey, God wants me to get involved in this ministry at my church. God wants me to have a conversation with this person at work. God wants me to, whatever it may be, just saying, like, here's what's preventing me from it, but here's what I can do to adjust that. And this is a great test for your anxiety. Put all the skills together, and like nothing's going to be more freeing than when you're using the skills that God's given you to somehow make a difference in somebody's life. So in one of my former churches, I started a program called Kids Club. And so we had kids from all over the community would come in, and then we had volunteers, and kids could sign up for gymnastics, arts and crafts. We had a ballet group. We had several different sports groups. So they could come and they would sign up for what club that they would want to join. And they would do that club for like an hour, and then at the end would all get together and I'd do some sort of Bible story, or something to tell them about Jesus. And I remember there was a guy in my church that I was also working with, and he was dealing with depression, and he was a contractor his entire life, and just like was retired now. His spouse had passed away, so he didn't really, just basically sat around all day, not really doing anything. And I asked him, I said, hey, will you be part of this kids club? He said, no, my years are done. Like, I'm done with that. Like, I'm not going to do it. And I kept asking him, he would say no, he would say no. And I knew he was a carpenter. So I ordered like 100 little wooden birdhouses that needed to be put together, that kids could put together, could paint. And I said to him, I said, hey, I got this teenager that's going to do these birdhouses, but he doesn't have like any carpentry skills. Can you just like go and give him some tips, help him out maybe for a week or two, and like just do it. And I knew, like, God, I don't care that you're 75 years old and like feel like you have nothing left to give. Well, like, God still wants to use you. And he came, and after that first day, like, I remember him walking up and saying, thank you so much, Mike. He said, this was this was probably like the best time I've had in years. And he was like very consistent. I mean, he kind of joined the leadership team of this kids club and just had a huge impact on the kids, but it also had a huge impact on his life. And, you know, he had all those excuses of why he couldn't, why he shouldn't, and all those sort of things. But when he actually got out and did it, like God blessed him in that, and God will bless you in that as well. So again, hopefully you got some clear things that you see that you need to change. Hopefully you have some type of purpose for your life. And number 4, there's steps you can follow to better manage your time. So let's just read through these together. And what I want you to do is, if one sticks out to you where you said, man, that's a real challenge for me, just highlight it, circle it, write it down. Just another time, like during your planning time, just to reflect on, come up with a better but believable thoughts. But start each day with things that must be done, things that are nice to get done, and things that doesn't matter. And so you're targeting, you know, all of us, for the most part, probably have more on our list than we're actually going to get done. So if you can kind of rank them, it can be more effective. So second, what are the things that you can delegate to others? You know, there's so many people I've come across that deal with this, that they'll say, you know what, people don't do it exactly the same way I do, so I feel it's better for me to just do it myself. And you know, so if that's you, stop it. You know, things don't need to be perfect. Perfection isn't a goal that you have to set, and allow others to use their skills and gifts as well. So break the day into segments. If possible, it's better to get one thing done before moving on to the next. So don't try to do too much in one day. It's better to underload yourself rather than overload. Take a break and relax. Again, getting that refresher can make you more effective with the time that you have left. Slow down and enjoy your time. You know, so many people, it's kind of like, when I get this project done, or when I get my driver's license, you know, when I get married, when I have kids, then I can like enjoy my life and enjoy my time. And I'm saying, you know, no matter where you're at, if you're listening to this and you're 10 years old, if you're listening to this and you're 70 years old, like whatever stage of life you're in, just slow down and enjoy that. So pay attention to your triggers, right? So if you know skipping lunch is going to trigger you and make you feel exhausted and not feel well, like, no, you need to stop and have lunch. Avoid negative people as much as possible. So try and stay on with the ones that are going to encourage you and lift you up and build you up. So avoid foods that increase anxiety. So the chocolates, caffeine, sugars, salt, things heavy in salt. So plan time just for yourself each day to do something you love. So if you like reading, if you like exercising, playing tennis, whatever it may be, just have a segment of time planned in there, and make it a priority that you're going to allow yourself to do that, knowing the rest of your time is going to be more effective. So learn to say no to others unless it fits your mission. And some days will be more demanding than others, and just plan, like, you know, I know this is going to be a super busy holiday and I'm hosting family and it is going to be busy, but I'm going to delegate and I'm going to make sure I get extra rest and like have lunches pre-made that I can just eat and plan for those. So you can see me time, things that I try and like plan for myself and my family, is 1 hour a day that I can just focus on playing with my son, or just going out for a walk on my own, or you know, playing tennis with a friend or something. So 1 hour a day I try and spend that is something that's going to refresh me. So 1 day a week where I try and set aside work. For me, that's usually on Sundays, and just have church time with my family. A lot of times we go Saturday night so we can sleep in on Sunday and just enjoy an entire day, you know, just watching football, or you know, whatever we do on that Sunday. And then 1 week a quarter, you know, if you can take a vacation, those sort of things, like that seems to be a good formula that can really like keep you on track and stay excited and energized and those sort of things. And I like the statement, the people of free time, the ones that have learned to say no. And you know, and one of the things that I want you to do, first of all, one thing I want to also mention, like when we talk about priorities, I love that there's a class I teach in the church about biblical priorities. And I always ask the question, like, what is your number one priority? And everybody, of course, in the church will say God, and then, what's number two? Well, it's my family. Well, specifically, who in your family? And it's usually spouse, then your children. Then it gets a little fuzzy after that. Some people say extended family, then my neighbors, my friends, my job, my work, my hobbies. And so, we come up with this long list and argue a little bit about what belongs where and this and that and this and that. And nobody ever says me. And, so after we get this list, I always say, okay, where do you belong on this list? Are you more important than your work? Are you more important than your friends? Are you more important than God? Where do you put yourself in this? And, we look at some scriptures and stuff together, but ultimately the way I see it is if you get your priorities straight and you put God number one, your spouse number two, your children number three, your family number four, your work number five, your friends number six, and you set those up, the question I love to ask is, if you're spending time with God, is that taking care of you? And everybody says, yes. If I'm spending time with my spouse and romancing her and having a date with her or him, if you're a woman, like, is that taking care of yourself? Yes. If you're engaging and playing with your children and leading them and teaching them, is that taking care of yourself? So what I'm getting at is, when you get your priorities set the right way, and when you actually engage your time in those priorities, you're actually taking care of yourself. So you don't even need to put yourself in that list. All you need to do is have a healthy list and spend time according to that list. So part number one in the homework says my active step to adjusting my time this week. So you're going to look at those three clear things up top, and you're going to, again, there may be 15 things that you need to change in this area, right? Maybe when you did those two rankings, it was a complete disaster and nothing lined up with the way it should. But what I want to say is, like, don't try and change everything at once, because I know what'll happen. Nothing will change. So you're going to just say, hey, here's one thing. And let's say you notice, I want to spend more time with my spouse. Like I put that in my top three, but right now it's like in my bottom three. And that's the one I really want to focus on. So you're just going to set one active step. So it may be, this weekend we're having a date night, and no matter what it takes, we're finding a babysitter, we're finding a place to go, and we're just having a night out together. So if work has become like too high of a priority, and your active step may be like it's time to plan a vacation, or it's time to like delegate some of my responsibilities to my assistant, or if you're the assistant and the boss is piling too much, it's time to approach them and just say, like, this is like too much for me to do on my own. Like, I need some sort of help, assistance, whatever it may be. So I want you to come up with just one active step. So you're not trying to change everything with your time all at once. You're just saying, here's one step I'm going to take this week to make my time more effective. So hopefully that makes sense. And then when that area gets changed, you can always come back to session 13 and like look at those other areas of need and make those changes as well. And then finally, my mission statement for the next 6 months. So I want you to come up with like a mission statement for yourself. It could be based on like your ideal picture, it could be based on like your recovery. So one thing I wrote down, I will make healing a priority and spend daily time with God, right? So I know I'm struggling with anxiety and I need to overcome that. So that's going to be for the next 6 months, my priority, using these skills, building on them, getting rid of these negative thoughts and all the things I've been dealing with. And I'm also going to spend more time with God because I've really like let that slide. All right. So if that's my mission statement, every time something comes my way or gets thrown at me, I'm going to funnel it through that mission statement. So if somebody says, hey, we're having a worship night at church, do you want to come? And you say, okay, my mission is to keep myself healthy and to spend more time with God. At a worship night, that's going to be healthy. That's going to allow me to spend more time with God. Yes, I'll do that. Somebody comes, hey, can you help me move this weekend? And, I'm getting a U-Haul. Is that going to help me get healthy? Is that going to help me spend more time with God? And you know what? You have to funnel through that. Maybe this is a friend that's far from God, and you say, hey, I can go over there on mission and encourage them and use this as an opportunity to talk about God. But you have to funnel it through that mission statement and see, like, does this all line up? So those are the two big homework assignments. Again, looking at your overall time, setting one active step, and then creating your mission statement that you're going to use to funnel all your decisions through for the next 6 months. So I'd love to hear those mission statements. Again, reach out, email me anytime, put it on the Facebook group page. And we're down to just our last 2 sessions, and I can't wait to share those with you. So hope you have a great week or 2 weeks until I see you again, and talk to you soon.